Hey there, fans. We're back, and we're better than ever. We're coming to you today with the max amount of energy possible. Maximum effort today, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. That's actually a lie. I'm still sick, but I'm feeling a little better.
I'm glad to hear that you are doing better. I'm glad to hear you sound better. You look better. So, joining
Yeah.
us today is a man who definitely needs an introduction, but my co host, hailing from parts of none of your goddamn business, hailing from central Pennsylvania, but still none of your goddamn business. We have the Count of Montefisto, the Dancing Destroyer, the King of Sting,
Ooh.
the Master of
Oh.
Disaster, the One and Only, the Prince of Punch, the Thane of Pain, Mr.
Oh.
Keep Your Girl, Seth Slykehouse.
Ooh, that was quite the intro, but I like that.
I just gave you all of Apollo Creed's nicknames.
I thought that was. I was like, was that Muhammad Ali or was that Apollo Creed? And I was like, I can't remember.
Definitely Apollo Creed. I am your humble host, Pedro Carrasquillo. Thank you for joining us today. So, as I stated earlier, my good friend, you are looking well. You sound better, even though you're still sick. You did
Yeah,
say earlier you were getting swole before we were, before we started
I was at the gym.
recording.
Now you brought up Apollo Creed earlier. I got. We got to talk about something, Pedro, because
Lay it on me, buddy.
there was the news that there is a planned Drago spinoff
Oh,
coming out, and Sylvester Stallone made an Instagram post saying how he feels that this is disrespectful and that this series is being bled to death by
yeah,
producers who essentially stole it from him and don't care about the franchise, and that he never would have agreed to this.
that's a pretty big
So
indictment.
would so I feel like out of respect for the Stallone himself, I'm not watching this movie.
No, if he's not endorsing it, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah,
First off, I thought Creed 1 and 2 weren't good,
they're all right.
and I stand by that. Me and Caitlin
They were fine.
watched them, and I was like, nah. I thought maybe I'd enjoy them more after a little bit of time had passed, and me and her had just got done watching all the Rocky movies, and I'm like, all right, well, we gotta finish and jumping into Creed, and
So whose idea?
did
Whose
you?
idea was that to watch all those movies? Like, whose idea was it? Yours?
I don't remember. I
Well,
don't
that's
remember.
good
I
though.
think
If it was her, she's a keeper. You need a wife her immediately.
she loved them. I
Oh,
mean, yeah, she absolutely loved the Rocky movies.
time to go to K,
Um,
buddy.
yeah. Every kiss begins again. So I just like, do you remember that there's a scene in Creed where he's running down the street
Yeah,
and a dirt bike gang and a couple guys on four wheelers start running with
yeah.
him,
Oh,
driving with him,
so
and they start circling him, and I'm like, this is awkward.
well, all right. So the way that's explained, that actually is a thing in Philly where like these kids do ride dirt bikes up the street. It's illegal as fuck. But to put some context behind it, that like is a Philly accurate, especially for that neighborhood. I forget the neighborhood specifically, and I don't want to misspeak on it. I don't think it's Kensington. It could be, but that is a thing. So like that scene right there, as ridiculous as it is, and definitely overproduced, it is accurate.
It's super cringy,
Yeah, definitely
super
cringy.
cringy. And dude, like if they were trying to like recreate Rocky like running down the
Yeah,
street with
no.
all of Philadelphia, like it didn't even compare. There was like I for me Creed just didn't hit, and I'm a Michael B. Jordan fan. I like the in my opinion he could be the best MJ of all time.
Hot take, but okay. I support your right to say that.
You got Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Michael B. Jordan, and I'm putting Michael B. Jordan at the top.
Wow. I
Just
would
not a fan of
just
Creed.
like to make a quick PSA. Watson, you spent how long in the desert for us to be able to say this? So just throw it out there. Thank you, Watson.
Oh
Oh
my
god.
god.
So
He
what?
wanted to play games with me tonight, and
Ooh.
he asked me to pick a game, and I said Phantasmophobia, and he said, "Go fuck yourself." And I
Oh,
was like, "What? It'll be funny." And he never replied. I was like,
he hates.
"No."
Is that a horror game? I'm pretty sure he
Yeah,
hates horror games.
it's a cooperative ghost hunting game.
Yeah. He's not about that life. Like
That'd be funny.
it probably would have been funny. You probably could have recorded the Discord and definitely I had a good time with it, and of course, as Watson does,
He ruined it.
he fails to deliver.
Yeah,
Just
he
leaves you
ruined it.
wanting and disappointed. Love Watson. If you're listening, you're such a disappointment. So
Hell,
I myself have been fairly busy as I usually am. Definitely have been burning the candle on both ends with long commute, and then still trying to make time to spend with the important people in life. And now we're doing the podcast, trying to squeeze some gaming in there, some TV. So I've been doing a little bit of everything. Me and the old lady here, we just finished the first season of Jack Ryan, and I will have to say, pretty good fucking show. Even though I will say John Krasinski is a little hard to take seriously because of his face, but it, overall, that show, the first season, probably one of my favorite first seasons of a show I've ever seen.
I watched the very first episode of that, and I remember liking it, but never going back to
Dude,
it.
it gets pretty good.
Yeah.
The finale had us fucking. We were like, our jaws were dropped. So we're gonna get into season 2 here probably over the weekend. And then another movie I watched. It's called One Night in Paradise. It's a Korean gangster film, and I definitely recommend it if you are. I believe you were cut from the same cloth I am. You're a big Yakuza guy, even though you still have allowed a second dragon to exist. But we're not going to talk about that. But you like the overall premise and the machismo that goes into it, and this film is so good. It's not obviously like Academy Award good or any stretch of that imagination, but as an overall film, they do a lot of fun things. They take a lot of risks. They're unpredictable, which I really like. Except for maybe in the, I guess, finale, slightly predictable, but I don't think this story could have ended any other way. But overall, I enjoyed my time with it, and that got me into just wanting to get back into my backlog of movies that I have not watched. So next on the docket is The Foreigner. It's a Jackie Chan movie. It's going to be one of his last movies. I guess he filmed it in 2017, but I'm excited. Pierce Brosnan's the villain in this movie, so also known
I
as James
love
Bond.
Pierce
Yeah,
Brosnan, but Jackie Chan is my mortal
dude,
enemy.
you got to watch it. Got to get in
I
there.
hate Jackie Chan.
Why would
I
you?
hate
How
him.
could you hate Jackie Chan?
Jackie Chan is solely responsible for the mockery that became of the classic martial arts community. He's
Mm,
solely responsible. And here's the thing. He, first off, not even a good martial artist, all right? Average kung fu practitioner at best.
yeah, I would say that. Yep.
Impressive stuntman, I'll give him
Yeah.
that, but complete asshole.
Is he?
A lot of people don't know this about Jackie Chan. Complete asshole. In fact, he is so unliked in his homeland of China that like he doesn't go back there very often.
Wow. That's
At least last I checked,
yeah.
he lives. I think he still lives in L.A.
Full disclosure, the
Jackie
last Jackie Chan movie I think I
Chan.
watched was like Rush Hour 3. But so I thought he had long retired. So when I found out he was still making movies, I'm like, I gotta watch this. And then on Netflix, I also noticed. Did you know they made a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon movie like recently?
No.
Neither did I, but I'm definitely gonna watch it. Also, I noticed there's fucking live action Rurouni Kenshin films, like several of them.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Jackie Chan lives in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
He's got a place in China, but dude, he has like 14. No, that's an exaggeration. I don't know the exact number. A ton of like bastard children that he doesn't take
Love
care
it.
of. Yeah, I hate Jackie Chan.
Okay, so that is something that I literally was not expecting to hear. So you heard it here first. Breaking news: Seth hates Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan, douchebag confirmed. Do we know?
Meet me in the ring, Jackie Chan. Box me.
I probably would pay very good money to see that. So yeah, Jackie, if you're listening, buddy, hit us up, and we'll definitely set up the card. A little pay-per-view action, and we'll get it set up. Slide
that's
into
gonna
my
be my thing
DMs.
from now on.
But
I'm just gonna try and get boxing matches with everyone I don't like.
I support this. I'll be your promoter. I'll be your Don King. I'm in. I like.
Jake Paul can fight on my undercard.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Did you see the tweet I posted yesterday?
Yes.
Sometimes it's true though. Sometimes I'm just like I just sit there. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
Jake Paul knocked out Tyron Woodley.
like it happened. Dude, Tyron Woodley, like that was
There might not be a bigger fall off in sports,
like what the
right?
fuck
I mean,
happened?
now you would know a mixture of the other sports
Yeah.
better than me, right? But I know in fighting, I don't think there's ever been a bigger fall off. I mean, this dude was the undisputed number one welterweight,
Hmm.
and then loses one time
And that was the end.
and gets just falls off the ladder
I
completely.
f-
Doesn't go down a couple rungs, just falls off the ladder through like a total of 13 punches in his last
yeah,
5 fights.
terrible.
Something crazy like
He
that.
fell harder than Rousey. Like I feel like.
Yeah. And Rousey, like, I mean, Rousey had like a spectacle mental breakdown, right? Tyron Woodley never had like a mental
Yeah, he
breakdown,
just
but
started to suck.
yeah, he just never got that mojo back. And then to get knocked out by Jake
Yeah,
Paul, and it's crazy too because like if he had stood in the pocket and boxed Jake Paul, he has the ability to outbox him.
yeah,
He just didn't.
yeah.
Ah,
And I feel
like,
like
like I
we've
said,
also
so
seen that with Connor too. Like Connor kind of down the fucking
yeah, but at
tubes.
least Connor's still competitive, right? Like Connor can hold his own against the top tier. I mean, he's not gonna win,
Yeah.
but he can hold his own against the top tier. But with Woodley, he just like
Oh
it
man.
was just a flip of a
So
switch.
now that we're gonna do a little UFC talk. So usually every Saturday night, I watch the fight night card on ESPN. It's it's
Yeah,
it's like my comfort food. Like we'll here at my girlfriend's house, we have like three enclosed porches. So the one porch is like enclosed, got a TV on it, nice little fire pit thingy. So it's pretty sweet setup. So usually on Saturday nights we will sit on the porch, watch whatever sport is on, and usually it's the UFC. So I've gotten her into watching combat sports, and this past card for a fight night was pretty fucking dope. It was the first card in probably almost 10 years that the judges were not needed in any fight. Like
wow.
every fight had a result that didn't involve the judges. Hang on, I'm gonna pull up the card because the co-main event was pretty good. Um, Kamaru Usman's brother Muhammad, he threw the stiffest fucking jab I think I've ever seen and deleted a man. It was the Ultimate Fighter finales in some of those main events, and he
Well,
got
I saw that someone got knocked out with a body shot
yeah, that
too.
happened. That was
I
a thing.
immediately I immediately thought of you
Yeah, because body
because
shots are fucking awful.
we both hate body shots.
Dude, I just couldn't take a body shot. Like it would kill me. Where was it? Let me pull it up because it was pretty fucking good. Yeah. So it was the Santos versus Hill um fight night. So for first match on the card, Terrence McKinney versus Eric Gonzalez, round one submission. Second fight, two nobodies like Augusto Sakai and Sergey Spivak. Excuse me. Second round knockout. Third fight knockout. Fourth fight knockout.
Nice.
Yeah, Jeff Neal versus Vicente Luke was a knockout or TKO, and then Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill knockout, and that last fight was a fucking war.
I respect Thiago
Yeah, me too.
Santos.
I used to not like him. I'm like, you're kind of douchey, but he earned my respect in this fight because these guys were throwing bombs. They were trading leather, buddy. And
Well,
God,
he's the one that like, dude,
he gave John Jones a like on
he
one
took
leg.
he took Jones to a decision with both knees blown
Yeah,
out.
that's a fucking warrior right there.
Yeah, like I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, you have to watch. You have to look up that Muhammad Usman knockout. It like the stiffest fucking jab that like he put hand to chin and shut his body off. It was and it was he didn't even like he didn't even like turn his body like how you're taught to like turn your like kind of put your hips into it so you generate more power. That didn't happen. He
Mhm.
just threw a hook and just right on the button, clipped him, and this dude was flat on his back, like sleeping. It was beautiful to see.
And sometimes it just lands perfect.
Yeah. So
Put you down.
yeah. So not that we want to spend a ton of time on some sport talk, but one of the better UFC cards I've seen in a long time. So I was really impressed by that. So I'm definitely gonna keep watching the fight nights because I love them.
All right. I wish I could. Alas, I work night shift,
Oh,
so
you watch them at work? Come on.
I used to be able to do that when I wasn't someone important. And I've gotten 3 promotions in 2 years, so I can't really do that anymore.
With the great power comes great responsibility, my friend.
Too much
Yeah,
responsibility.
dude, being responsible for people sucks.
It
Yeah,
does. It
you'll
does.
never know. Like when you now that you're in that supervisory leadership role, like the amount of people who will do stupid things, and like you'll have to chase down grown adults to be like, yo, could you like follow the rules? Like, can we just like start there? Can we build a
Yeah.
can we build a baseline, please, of following the rules? Show up to work on time. Don't steal things. Like just these little things that you would think you wouldn't have to tell, grown adults. It's mind boggling, and then nothing's ever
Yep.
their fault. Nothing is ever their fault. It's always management sucks, or it's always some fucking excuse. We could get into supervision. We could start a whole supervision podcast if you'd like, but um, we're not going to do it.
That might unironically make tons of money.
What the supervisors podcast?
Yeah, that might make tons of money.
I mean, that's an idea. Let's roll it out. So what you been playing, buddy?
Not a whole lot, man. I haven't. I've been really busy with work this past week. This was my long weekend, and um, it was a really busy one. So I was pretty tired. I did put a little more time into Cold Steel
Attaboy.
4. I'm at 72 and a half hours now, and I feel like I'm not even the second half of the game, so I don't really know what's going on. But then I saw this game pop up on Steam that I've put not a whole lot of time into, but I'm liking so far. It's called Anno Mutionum.
Oh,
Mutionum.
okay, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce the second word. It's this really cool pixel art cyberpunk game, like a side scrolling thing, but also not side scrolling. It's hard to explain. It's like a 2.5D um, game, and I'm really digging it. It's got a really good
It's
aesthetic,
called what again?
and um, Anno Mution M. It's really hard.
Oh,
Mute.
Anomutation M. No, mutation M. Mute, mute,
I don't
mute,
know how to pronounce that last word.
mutation M. Anomutation M.
I guess I don't know,
That's fascinating.
but it is really slick pixel art cyberpunk game. Um,
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it
I'm
so
pulling,
far.
pulling up the
It's like
trailer now.
you get to like explore a city, and from the trailer it looks like it's just 2D, but it's not.
It's like
It's
2.5D.
there's
Yeah.
actually like there's like a 3D depth to the world that you can explore unless you're in like the combat levels, which is all 2D. So I'm really enjoying that so far. I'm having a blast with it. Um, Now I've heard the second half of the game isn't as good, but we'll see. We'll see about that.
Okay. I mean, it looks interesting.
Yeah,
How much is it on Steam?
I think it's like $30.
Ooh, that's a little high for me.
It was a little high. There's a free demo. You can
Okay.
see if you can check it out if you want and see if you're into it. But just something to play when I need a break from Cold Steel 4, which I kind of do right now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in that mode right now with Cold Steel where I'm like, I've been playing this for forever and I'm not even close to the end yet. You're in that kind of mode.
I'm real
So
proud of you getting the Cold Steel work done, so we can definitely dive into some spoilers and talk about what our perspectives are on those games. Are you gonna do the not Calvard? I forget the goddamn third country that Joshua and Estelle are from. Yeah, you're
Libero.
gonna do that arc.
Um, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm so used to the Trails of Cold Steel graphics now that it's going to be really hard to go back, despite everyone saying how amazing they are
Yeah.
and the crossbow games are supposed to be, like phenomenal. But like we've got Reverie coming out, you know, next year, and then Kuro coming out next year as well, I think.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure like when I'm supposed to play the liberal and the crossbell games because
that's a time sink.
like yeah, I mean like each one of these games is 100 hours long, and like there's other games
Yeah,
I want to play other than Trails of Cold Steel or the Legend of Heroes
yeah,
series.
and these series
So
come in. They're like, hey, you got 300 hours for me?
yeah,
And you kind of want to say yes because I feel the urge. Like I have all three of the Liberal games on my PC because I'm a weakling when it comes to Steam sales. So
hmm
thankfully, I had to do an adult thing and unlink my Steam account from my PayPal credit account because that was becoming a problem. um, so, but I have all those games. I'm like, it's a real gaming drought right now. I feel like aside from God of War and apparently an SMT game that came out that we'll get into later, um, that came out, I feel like I'm punting on the rest of 2022. Like I feel like 2022
hmm
is the backlog year, and which I'm okay with. But I feel these games calling to me because what I hate is when I know there's a bunch of games in a franchise, like I need to have an opinion of my own on all of them, and it's so that's what's drawing me in. So I feel like I might give the first game trail. I think it is it Trails in the Sky. I think first some shit like that.
yeah.
Um, I'll give it 20 hours, and if by the 20-hour mark I'm not enjoying myself, then I'm out. Then I'll just watch a YouTube recap or something just so I'm caught up. But uh,
Okay, but you understand that Trails into Reverie is coming out next year, and we're in August now,
yeah,
Pedro. All right, so if you jump into Liberal now, that like you're not gonna play anything except Legend of Heroes for the next year and a
yeah,
half.
that's what's a little bit daunting. But I mean, I like a good grind. So if the story's good enough, and if they don't hit us like they hit us in the beginning of Cold Steel One, where that was definitely a slog, but we got through it. But then I'll be in. But that remains to be seen. So I'll keep everyone updated. Maybe I'll see where I'm at if I get into it or not. Um, was that everything you've been playing though, sir? Before I get into what I've been indulging
Yeah.
in.
But then the other thing I just wanted to say was that like for most people this is a huge drought with a massive backlog type year, but not for
That's
me
been a
right now,
blessing.
man. Like once I beat Cold Steel 4, I'm either gonna be jumping right into Xenoblade 3 or Persona 5. Like
Yeah.
because I'm ready for the Persona,
Hmm.
right? And we'll talk about Persona a little later, but I was gonna jump into Persona right after Trails of
Don't do
Cold Steel
that.
4, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. So I'm probably gonna jump into Xenoblade 3,
Okay.
and everyone says how good that is, but
So
we'll see.
so the Switch is calling you back.
Well, maybe.
Because you famously have a strange relationship with the Switch. It's
I do. I've beaten exactly one game on the Nintendo Switch,
yeah,
and that's Xenoblade 2.
yeah. It's so it's, yeah,
And I've owned 3 of
yeah.
them.
You've jumped in the pool and then you're out. But Xenoblade seems to be the one game that's like, come on in, honey, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, it's a great
yeah.
series.
I need to get I
And
need to play them.
yeah, you have like I love Xenoblade an infinitely more amount than you, but yet you have all the collector's editions.
Yeah, it's funny
And
how the world works, huh?
I missed out. I missed out on the Xenoblade 2 collector's edition, and that is my white whale. It's the one that got away.
You also missed out on the
Those
Xenoblade
beautiful
one
rainbow
as well.
colors in the front.
But
Yeah, but Xenoblade 1 I don't like as
I
much.
keep hearing that it's actually not that great of a game. But yeah.
Xenoblade 1? Um, I think it's hit or miss for a lot of people. Like Xenoblade 1 for me is plagued by horrendous graphics, which they did fix in the Switch version, but really uninteresting characters and a combat system that drives me fucking insane. Because to properly utilize your abilities in that game, you have to be able to get angles on the
Mhm.
enemy, right? And as the main character, you want to do as much damage as possible, so you're constantly drawing enemy aggro. But the issue is you can't do that because then you can't use your abilities as Sheik. Not Sheik?
Shulk.
Shulk. That's it. That's his name, Shulk. because he has abilities that can only be properly utilized from the side or back, and it doesn't work out well. So I'm a much bigger fan of
Yeah,
Xenoblade
I
2,
definitely got to get into those games. Uh,
and Xenoblade 2 has the best art I think of almost any
I
modern
remember
game.
really liking Xenoblade 2. I played like 10 or 12 hours of it, and then just I don't know. Sometimes like it sucks when you walk away from a game and there's no real rhyme or reason. Like the last time I played
Yeah.
Xenoblade 2, right? I I got past I guess the second boss. It was some girl who like I forget her name, but she like knocked over a water tower, and it was like it was pretty crazy fight. Actually, I enjoyed it. And then Robert called me drunk as shit 3 a.m. in the morning, so I went and picked him up, and then came home and went to bed, and then just never played it again.
One of my
Just got
favorite
yanked out of there.
things about Xenoblade One of my favorite things about Xenoblade is that the developers always troll the fan base by putting a massively end game boss in a
Yeah, so
beginning
you just fucking
area.
stomp you out.
Yeah. So if you're not paying attention in Xenoblade 2 when you get to like the first forest, this gigantic gorilla will just come out of nowhere and just like crush you immediately. And you'll be like, wow, okay, that's great.
Yeah,
That's fun. Thanks, guys.
yeah, that's infuriating. So for me, I have, like I said earlier in the show, indulged in some movies and TV shows. Definitely been feeling the Amazon Prime streaming right now. I feel like they've kind of hit a cadence that's really good. That they've outpaced Netflix, which is nice. I like a little competition. Um, and then I got to play some games. I beat Twin Breaker over the weekend because I was looking for a nice little short experience, and I had bought the game when it first came out just to support our boy, and
Hmm.
I didn't like it, but then I finally gave it a chance, and I found the writing to be pretty interesting. Like for a brick breaker game, like the story, like it's not like anything to write home about by any stretch of the imagination, but for a brick breaker game, it has no business being as interesting as it is the way it's written. So I really liked it, and they do some interesting concepts with brick breaker. And what I did hate is when they introduced the four panels to like kind of bounce the bricks off of. That
Hmm.
drove me nuts. Like I felt myself getting a headache because my brain's like, we don't play brick breaker like this. This isn't a thing. Like so it took definitely some getting used to, but it was definitely just a fun playthrough. It took me like maybe 3 hours to beat. So it was just a nice little bite-sized experience, which I can appreciate a good short experience these days. It's funny as you get older, you and I both love these fucking deep, meaty RPGs, but as we get older and you have less time, like these shorter experiences are great. Where you're in, you're out.
Yeah, that's why I downloaded that Anno game because I'm just like I'm sitting here just grinding away at Cold Steel 4 and I'm like, you know what? I kind of need something to break up the monotony, like a quick, fast paced action game. Um, is exactly what I was looking for, and I think I found it. So
Yeah. So so definitely been playing that, and then I slid back into Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and yeah, like
oh,
I was down in my game room and I'm looking at the shelf. I'm like, fuck, I really like I want a new game to play because like I was playing Wild Arms, like dabbling in it, and then like I'm out for a little bit. Like I had my fun and then I was
hmm.
out. But I'm like I'm just in the mood for a JRPG that I don't know, just like I just in the mood for one. And like I have SMT5, but for some reason I have a weird relationship with that game where like I want to play it, but then I'm like, ugh. I want to like I don't know what it is about that game. Like I just think it just runs. I just think it runs like shit, so it just like bothers me. Um,
Hmm.
because I think it runs at like 30 frames per second or whatever it is, and it just and maybe excuse me, maybe that's why that's going to lead into one of our later topics, like why certain decisions were made. Because like I feel like Atlas wanted to do so much more with that game, but like we're limited by the console they were on. But in the same token, you look at a game like Xenoblade, which runs for the most part buttery smooth. So what's the excuse here for this? So I went to
Yeah,
Tokyo Mirage Sessions and I loaded up my old save and I love the game. It's stylish, it's fun, it's not too dark. It's SMT with a mix of Fire Emblem characters. So I'm having a good old time. And I posted this on the Instagram. Shout out to Alpha Nerds Prime, our Instagram. Check us out. Uh, and I'm playing and I'm in a dungeon, having a good old time, with the sessions and the singing and all that, whatever they do in there, having a good old time. And then I get to a savage encounter, and then I get killed and wipe, and then get kicked to the main menu, lose 3 hours of progress. I'm like, it's like this game was like.
Oh, there it
This,
is.
this game was like, sir, did you forget what franchise like you're dabbling in here? Did you forget that we will just kick you right in the fucking dick because we're an SMT game? Like, did you forget who the fuck it is you were dealing with? So naturally, after that happened, I put my Switch down and just went to bed. And my girlfriend was like, "You seem pretty mad." I was like, a little frustrated. She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, you ever hate when something's like your fault?" Like you just wipe, and it's because you didn't take, you weren't like, I guess, playing well, or like playing playing to a level where you were taking an enemy seriously and he killed you. Because like when I wiped, I'm like, oh, they're gonna hit
Yes.
retry or whatever. Nope, main menu, fuckface. That's what the fuck you get.
Yep.
And it was really jarring because I was like, did I just fucking wipe? Like, because think about it. When's the last time you wiped in a JRPG and it kicked you to the main menu?
I don't know. I don't know because oh my god. Sorry, there's just I was just browsing Steam and there's just so many porn games
Love it.
on Steam, but um I don't know because like most JRPGs nowadays let you go back to like a checkpoint right before the fight or like just repeat the fight
Yeah,
immediately.
that's what I'm saying. Most JRPGs will let you get clapped as many times as you want to get clapped by an enemy. But this game's like, oh, you got your ass whooped, huh? Hope you saved, because if you didn't, do it over again.
Yeah.
So
Now they're like, oh, you forgot this is an
yeah,
SMT
that's how
game.
I felt. I felt like the game, like, oh, are we comfortable, having a good time, huh? And yeah, let's not have a good time. Let's not have a good time right now. So, but I really like the game. It's scratching a certain itch for me, and I know you just said that this has been a tough year for games as far as like getting new releases, and it's definitely come to a drought. Which, if you remember, when we were kids, like the gaming drought was like a fucking dreaded time of the year because there was no games news, nothing going on, and like you just had the fucking.
Yes.
It was like basically the game dev saying, "Hey, fucker, time to go outside." Like,
Yep.
so it's interesting now that like people are like really lamenting this lack of games that we're getting. But for me, I love this games drought. It's been so good for me because like I go down into my game room, or I'll browse my Steam collection, or I'll fire up the old Xbox and check out Game Pass, and I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, I want to play that. Let me check that out. Let me dabble in here. So for me, it's been really good.
You know what I've realized about Game Pass is that I don't cancel
No,
it because of its intrinsic
yes,
value,
I
right?
refuse to cancel it.
And
Don't use it.
yet, I have never beaten a game from Game
Neither
Pass.
have I.
In fact, the most I've played a game would be Dragon Quest XI on Game Pass, but even then, like I never beat it, and I just it's like it's got so much value to it that I just don't care about anything on
Yeah,
it. I don't know if that. Do you have the same
yeah.
experience?
I think the only games I beat on Game Pass were maybe a few Gears of War games, but other than that, like I'll get it. I'm like, oh, this is on Game Pass, and I'll play it for like a day, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
There's too many options.
Like okay,
There's too many options.
yeah. Like why would I care
Yeah.
about this?
So really, like you're giving them money, and then you're not really using it. So I don't know if Game Pass is profitable, but I feel like eventually it might be. But yeah, I definitely share that same issue. And then the last game I was playing, I picked up my Switch because obviously I was playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and I went into the virtual console type stuff because I have the year pass for
Mhm.
Nintendo Switch Online, so I get N64 games, I get the SNES games, NES games, and Sega Genesis games. And of course, your boy had to click on the Sega stuff, grown Sega kid.
Mhm.
And
Naturally.
I see that they added Shinobi 3. Yeah,
Ooh.
Shinobi 3. And let's just say your boy still got it. Your boy still got it.
You still got it, huh?
I got through the first 3 levels buttery smooth, didn't lose a life. And my girlfriend's sitting there watching
Nice.
me, and she's like, "How do you even remember how to play this?" Because she doesn't understand games. She thinks like the old school stuff's like, why would you want to play that? But like she also sees how like, I
Hmm.
had her play the Lion King once, and she's like, "Why is this so hard?" And so
It
she
is.
understands the level of skill, especially some of those older games. And Shinobi 3 takes a specific amount of precision. You got to memorize boss patterns, just shit that now like you don't really have to do much of. So when she sees me just
Hmm.
fucking trashing the first Shogun you run into, and without getting touched, without using the Nimpo, and I wasn't using any Shuriken. I went up to his bitch ass and smacked him, which is kind of hard to do in those games because famously they give Joe Musashi a fucking butter knife or whatever the hell he has that they pass for a katana because you have to get up close to slash people. But love the game, love the soundtrack. It just took me back, and I was like, "There's nothing beats a good Sega Genesis soundtrack." And because famously the Sega Genesis has fucking god awful sound, especially the Model Twos.
Yeah.
But if you get a game that's programmed the right way, that just hits you with that Sega Genesis beautiful fucking heavy bass type music, it's something to behold. And I love what Nintendo's doing with the retro stuff. I wish they would be more I guess they would be more tactful, which sometimes like a lot of random shit comes out where like did you know you can play the Breath of Fire games on there um on the Switch Online, but Chrono Trigger isn't there. None of the SquareSoft stuff is really there, which is interesting because like that's kind of what made their system famous, the SNES. So it's like I just find
Yeah,
it
I
weird.
think Square's just like super weird about like re-releasing their stuff. I think they might view it as like a loss of income because they were like, well, we can remaster this and make a shitload of
Yeah, but
money.
then but
That's kind of how I think
but
they view it.
but
I'm
then
not
they
sure.
fuck it up.
Yeah, they do. They always
Because
fuck it up
here's the thing. I think we talked about this on an episode before, but how is it that Square somehow comes up every episode? I swear to God, people, we are
because
not like sponsored by Square. Even if we were, we'd be such sellouts. But uh,
there's just so much to say about them. You
yeah,
know.
but but some of the RPGs. I just pulled up the Switch Online real quick just to talk about some of the games. Like you could play Earthbound on there. There is whatever Psycho Dream is. Never heard of that. But Super Valis 4, which is like a side-scrolling 2D platformer with RPG elements, which is kind of wild. The Valis game is randomly there. Breath of Fire 2 is there. Breath of Fire 1, and I think Super Mario. No Super Mario RPG. But so there's a couple JRPGs on there, but you would think that some of the RPGs that made them famous, especially that console, would be there. But I guess what you said has some weight to it that Square might just be like super fucking weird about it.
Yeah, I think that's true because why did they wait so long to do Crisis Core? You
Yeah,
know,
I don't know.
like they left Crisis Core stranded on the PSP forever, and they definitely could have released it on the PS3 or PS4 when everything else was getting re-released from those old consoles. And Birth by Sleep is it Birth by Sleep?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or is it Dream Drop? Which I don't know which one you're going for.
No,
Uh,
Birth by Sleep is the
yeah,
PSP one that's stranded there. It's one of the best Kingdom Hearts games. And then like Chrono Trigger, they specifically release it for full price on every system. They've never added it to like PlayStation Plus or the Nintendo Online or anything like that. I just think they're
yeah,
weird,
it's weird. They
man.
gave it that they,
That's
they
kind of
gave
my
Chrono
the
Trigger that
vibe.
3D or the 2D or not 2DS, the DS remake or whatever it was on DS, and for all intents and purposes, that was really received as a pretty good game, pretty good port. And then they just like, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah, the best version to play, and that's the only way to play that version as well. By
And
the way,
and just because we hate ourselves, we're gonna go ahead and look up how much Chrono Trigger on DS goes for, because I'm sure it's gonna be a lot. So
no, it's gonna be disgusting.
let's see. What's your over under? Not
80.
80. I'm gonna say 75.
It's a fucking cheap move, but okay.
So we're gonna go. No, what's buying format? No, show me the sold listings, because that's what.
Although I wouldn't be surprised to see like 140.
All right. So, wow, that's fucking disgusting.
What?
So the most recent copy sold on. Well, there's two copies. One complete in box with the poster went for 137.50
Nice.
on eBay, and then a regular copy, which I guess didn't have the poster, went for $82.
Wow, I
Yeah,
was pretty
you're,
close
you're
on
pretty spot
like
on.
both
Yeah,
accounts.
so average price you're looking at around $85 to $100 for Chrono Trigger on DS. So that's why I support remakes and remasters, because like just plummet those fucking prices, baby, plummet them.
I agree.
Okay,
Plummet 'em.
so last game I've been playing, I played the first, I replayed like the first hour of Ghost of Tsushima, and
Hmm.
I did it right. I got it on the subtitle mode. I haven't even heard the English voice acting on it. I don't even want to fucking hear it, because a
It's
game
not
like
bad.
that, you got to go with the Japanese audio track.
I agree.
And then I'm playing Japanese voiceovers, lethal Kurosawa mode. So
Okay.
like I'm
Wow.
going fully fucking in, and
So you're samurai.
yeah, I fucking love it. Like it just I remember like I'm playing it and I'm fucking fighting guys and I'm like talking shit to them, and of course my girlfriend, who does not understand video games, is like, "What is wrong with you?" And she just doesn't get like the intrinsic, just it just speaks to a man where he's where he's just, dealing out the damage, dealing death, and it's just very satisfying. The combat's so satisfying.
My favorite feature of Ghost of Tsushima is the face
Yeah,
off.
love it.
When you can just like walk out in front and you're like, let's go, bud.
And
You
I
know?
love about the story, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler, but they set the tone fucking early with the enemy in that game, where
Oh yeah.
they go break their honor or whatever, go break their will, and he goes down and he's like, "I challenge your best warrior," and they just fucking, yeah, fuck you, buddy. This is how this is gonna fucking go. And I love how
Yeah.
savage that is. And what appears to be the main protagonist, I like what he says is like, well, I forget what he says specifically, but he's like, while you were focused on that, I was learning your ways, I was learning your language, I was learning your customs, I was learning which villages to burn and which villages to spare. Like he just says some
Damn.
savage fucking shit. I'm like, whoa, buddy, let's fucking go. So I'm excited. I am so fucking hyped to get into that. So and it's crazy because I missed Ghost of Tsushima on PS4. Like I bought it day one and never played it. I actually I bought two copies of it. I bought a digital and I bought the steelbook. Like I was,
Isn't this like a legendary Pedro story though? Because you took off
yeah, I
work for
did,
it
and then touch it.
and then
No.
never played it, right?
So
Yeah. Okay, that's what I
so
thought.
the person who played my copy of Ghost of Tsushima was Jake, but and because I
Oh my
lent it to
god.
him, because I'm like, dude, I don't play this. He's like, it's sealed. You don't mind if I open it? I'm like, I don't fucking care, dude. Here you go. Yeah. So it's funny that like every one of my friends has beaten and played the shit out of Ghost of Tsushima and loved it, except me. And I'm like, and everyone's like, why didn't you play this? This game was like your game. This was the one.
Yeah.
And I just never fucking touched it. So definitely,
My
that
dude, I think it's so funny because for years, ever since like they started exploring different eras of Assassin's Creed, everyone was like, "Do Japan,
yeah,
yassholes," you know. And Ubisoft was like, "Well, we don't think that would be a fun experience for our players." And eventually, PlayStation's like, "Fine, we'll do
yeah. It's
it."
like Sucker Punch is like that famous Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like from Django, where he's laughing.
yeah,
Like we'll do fucking Assassin
yeah,
or
and
Japan.
yeah, and it's like it's way better than any other Assassin's Creed game, and it's like it's definitely like inspired by Assassin's Creed. You can feel
Yeah.
it when you're playing the game, right? But it's way better than any of
Oh,
them.
dude, it's
So,
so good. Like it is
yeah.
so good. So my year is gonna consist of like finishing Ghost of Tsushima. Is the time. I already finished The Last of Us 2. I still have both Horizon games to play. So like I'm getting like a fire 2022 while everyone's in a gaming drought. But
Mhm.
so that's the nice thing about like being behind on games.
Now, Pedro, I have an idea
Yeah.
here for you because in real time, I want to watch this Street Fighter
Okay.
Six video with you where they announced this new character, Kimberly and Yuri.
Okay. So Street Fighter 6.
Okay, here I'll link it to you now because I have an issue with this. Now, famously, I used to be a big Street Fighter fan, and then you
Yes.
broke me on it.
Which I apologize for, but you need to
No,
break
I
it.
kind of
It needed to happen.
it's a yeah, because I was definitely way too cocky. Now, the thing is that yes, I was not as good as I thought I was at Street Fighter, but I still knew the
Yeah.
game, right? And I've still played every Street Fighter up into
Hmm.
4. But so you can kind of skip through that unless you want to watch the. Well, actually, it's only 2 minutes and 38 seconds long.
Yes. Send that link
So
over, buddy.
I sent the link in the
Oh, you did. Okay.
Zencaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see it? All right. When you're ready, let me know, and we'll hit play at the same
All
time.
right. Let me get this loaded. Hang on. Ah, this isn't logged into my YouTube Premium. This is oh, never mind. All right.
I YouTube Premium changed my life. I like
Yeah.
throw up when I see a
Yeah, I
YouTube
know.
ad
All
now.
right, I'm in. Is it if I have the volume up?
All
Is
right.
it gonna?
No, it's
All
not
right,
gonna come
cool.
through.
All right,
All right, hit the play button in 3, 2, 1, click.
okay.
And I'll cut out the silence here, just because I wanna get your take on the way this gameplay looks.
What the fuck? What is that thing? Is that Kimberly?
Yes,
Is she supposed to be like minority Chun Li? Like what's going on here?
yes, I think so. They obviously needed to
Oh,
add a minority character, but like, I don't know. I feel like this Street Fighter cast has always been
yeah,
super
that's what I thought.
diverse, but they've made a lot of effort to claim that this is like the next generation of
See,
Street
that's
Fighter.
not a good idea because
I agree.
until they added like classic characters to Third Strike, they tried that before, and their fans were like, "No,
Yes, yes, they have tried this before and it failed. I also don't like her spray paint
it's too.
ultimate
It's
move
I.
because to me, what you're doing is you're relating black people with vandalism and spray
Yeah, like what the?
paint stuff. This is just like that's a little off. But my real issue, well, we'll talk about it because I want to know if you pick up on this as well. So
Oh,
now they're introducing Yuri, who is like
is she like an S?
a
Is she like an
massive
S and
like
M kitten? Like what's going on here?
well like she was introduced and
Yeah,
became like a huge fan favorite. I don't really understand why because there's definitely like everyone like wanted her to be like their waifu or whatever.
yeah.
They were like simping super hard for this chick, and I've never been into like crazy murderous insane girls, so I'm not really sure what that's about.
I
But she looks fucking OP as
yeah.
hell.
Huh. Oh god. Okay, Yuri. Fun fact: nobody dies in Street Fighter, so I don't really. Anyway.
So that's like the end of the trailer,
Yeah.
right? What did you think of
I
that?
mean, I never have a problem with new characters being added, but you can't. It's hard with Street Fighter to replace the core 8 fighters because that's what everyone who is a fan of Street Fighter really resonates with. That's who we love. That's who we want. And I get what they're trying to do. Like they're trying to age those characters, and eventually they're going to phase them out for new ones because a whole new generation of Street Fighter players are playing. But it's hard when they try this because like I feel like that when I see Kimberly. Like she feels like a very late '90s edgy, like oh look at my toot, I'm graffitiing things, and like look at my
Yeah.
urban. Like it's weird. Like it's just one of those things. Like it feels like it's definitely from the late '90s. Like I feel like she belongs in Third Strike, like that type of.
So like Kimberly came up because Eurogamer says Street Fighter 6 introduces series' first female African American fighter. And I
No.
could have swore that that is not true.
There's another character who's like I don't know if she's from specifically Africa, but or like are they saying just black?
I don't know.
Like that's I don't understand that because I thought isn't C Viper? I don't know if she's black, but I thought she was from Street Fighter 4.
I don't
It,
know.
it,
But
I don't
like
know. Yeah.
I feel like with Street Fighter especially, it's like who cares? Street Fighter has gone out of their way forever to always make sure they have representation from like every
Yeah,
single
like they're pretty
country,
diverse, I would say.
you know. But my biggest issue with that was the actual gameplay because Street Fighter always had that snappy, quick gameplay,
Mhm.
and this it seems like it's almost too smooth. It reminds me more of like a Tekken type, a very quick version, obviously a lot faster, but it seems like the actual animations are flowing through instead of snapping like they normally do
I
with
I
Street
feel
Fighter. If
like
that
you
makes
get
sense.
I don't know how to word it. Like you get more. They're more generous on the frames, from what I've noticed, like the input frames.
Yeah.
I think they had Street Fighter. Their formula was perfected with like Ultimate Street Fighter 4. I thought that was like a really balanced game. I enjoyed that. Street Fighter 5, where they became super lenient with like hitboxes and input lag, where and they changed certain characters like Vega, specifically, or he's called Claw, if you're a simp. But he used to be a charge character. Then they made him more of an input based, like a Ken or a Ryu.
Hmm.
So like they changed certain characters up to make them more accessible, which I thought was strange because like for years these characters have played the same. It was like and once you mastered a more complicated character, that was indicative of either your ability to learn new techniques, or just like you were that good where you could just pick up somebody. Where my Street Fighter prowess evolved from like I used to be a big Ken player. Like that was when you and I had our fateful encounter. I was still a heavy Ken player, and
Right.
sometimes some people don't leave out of that comfort where they'll play Ken their entire lives. But then I started playing other characters where I got really good with Adol, and which is he's like a spinoff of Sagat.
Hmm.
So he was like a Muay Thai guy. Then I started using, and then I started using Guy, and then I started using Abel. So I started spinning off and like switching to different characters just to start growing, my skill set. But in five, like I just felt like that game, balance wise, it just wasn't it for me, and I don't know. My issue with the Street Fighter franchise now that I see six, like, am I gonna buy six day one? No. If it's on Game Pass, will I play it? Yes. So fingers crossed. But uh, I'm out on Street Fighter right now until yeah, dude.
Wow.
I just like I got burned so fucking hard on Street Fighter Five that like I still have that bad taste in my mouth. Like I still have a bad taste in my mouth, and I know Capcom's in a way better space now, than it was when five came out. So I'm assuming like they're not gonna fuck this game up. I don't think. Like I think that's definitely gonna have its its issues. But from a gameplay perspective, what I see, do I agree with it? No. But do I think it's gonna play well? Yes. Like it's one of these things like they can't fuck this game up. Like you don't fuck this game up. And if Capcom's in the space that I think they are, they're not going to. But for me, on a personal level with Capcom, I took a series of L's that are not okay with Capcom. So like I took a fucking fat fucking L on Street Fighter Five, and then I took a fat juicy fucking thick with two C's L on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Like
That's what I was gonna
yeah,
bring
like
up. Marvel vs.
dude
Capcom
just took
Infinite.
the fucking L's. Like and then even before that, Street Fighter Cross Tekken was a fat fucking L. So it's just like
Mm-hmm.
So when you take a series of L's on fighting games, like you're just kind of like, I don't know if I really trust you. But saving grace, our friends at Arcade One Up. Did
Yes,
you see that there is a Marvel versus Capcom 2 cabinet being made?
I did not see that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and guess who has it pre-ordered? This fucking guy.
I bet you do. I bet
It's gonna
you
go
do.
right next to my fucking Marvel vs Street Fighter cabinet. And
That's
dude,
awesome.
I that is like my proudest thing I own. Like, if you remember the journey I went on to find that, and it was ironically in
You went to like 6 different
yeah, and
Walmarts, right?
ironically it was in Lockhaven.
Old
It was an
faithful
Old
Lock
Faithful.
Haven.
So I definitely cannot
Yeah.
wait to have that arcade cabinet here, and I'm gonna build it, and I'm just gonna love it. And
Dude, you know what's so funny? Like, me and Caitlin were coming back from my sister's house, and it was late, but we needed to get
yeah,
groceries, so we stopped at the Williamsport
I hate
Walmart
that Walmart,
to
bitch mart.
get food and whatnot. And I was like, dude, there is nothing here. And I told Caitlin, I was like, Pedro used to complain about this place every single day when he lived in Williamsport, how bad this Walmart was. I was like, now I
There's no
understand why.
reason for it, because like Williamsport, that area, there's over 100,000 people that live in that area. It's not like a small area.
Yeah,
Like Williamsport City proper is definitely small. It's like maybe 13,000, but that area,
yeah.
that surrounding area, which that's why I think Williamsport should just be a city. I don't understand why it's not, but it should have a super fucking Walmart. But it has this stupid fucking Walmart in goddamn Montoursville that like is a piece of shit. Like I hate it. I hate that Walmart so goddamn much.
It's got legitimately three
Yeah,
food
it
aisles.
sucks.
Like
Walmart
legitimately three food aisles.
sucks.
Yeah.
So if you for some
It's
reason live in the
ridiculous.
Williamsport area, go to Lewisburg, take the hike to Lockhaven. Do not go to that Montoursville Walmart. Let it die. Just let it. Let's phase it out. Let it die. Let's get a super Walmart in there.
It's amazing they never
No,
upgraded
it's a
it to a
piece
super
of
Walmart
shit. Like I
either.
can't. Like, I hate
It's
it.
weird.
Oh
It's
man.
weird.
So, uh,
I didn't mean to give you
you're
flashbacks,
good. You gave me fucking PTSD, buddy. So, moving off a little bit of the gaming and going into a space that, you know, are we necessarily deep into? No, but we grew up with it, so I think it's worth talking about. Everyone's favorite grandpa, Vincent Kennedy McMahon,
Mm.
retired from the WWE recently, and
I was surprised to
I
see this.
wasn't because like with all the sexual assault or sexual misconduct
Yeah.
allegations and like him paying off certain wrestlers to like not say anything. But
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the
yeah,
guy who put Trish Stratus in a dog collar and
yeah.
walked her around Mater
So
Park. So I'm like,
right, like
yeah,
so
whatever.
like when I see this, like he went out in the most Vince McMahon way possible, just like controversial as fuck. But like it, it it's kind of hard to see him retiring any other way. Uh, so
Yeah,
now, what are your thoughts about old Vincent Kennedy McMahon? Like, you grew up in the era of the golden age of pro wrestling, if you will.
I did. I did. We both
Yeah.
did. We grew up in a good era of pro wrestling, and I fell in love with it, and I was privileged enough to watch its
Hmm.
downfall, in my opinion, because after 2010, pro wrestling, or specifically WWE, just doesn't. It's not the same. It goes downhill really fast. I think you might be able to extend that further into like 2013. I would say the last great thing they did was John Cena versus The Rock. Like those Rock Championship years were pretty exciting, but even then, that was like a hail mary move, I think, from the WWE, because they're probably losing fans. I mean, you figured The Rock had to have been so expensive at that
Hmm.
point to have be consistent on the WWE roster. But I don't watch pro wrestling anymore. Just because I got really into MMA. Then once pro wrestling started becoming more PG and um, just kind of moved on with my life. But dude, those early years when I was watching Jeff Hardy jump from 30-foot ladders, and I watched Kane put Shawn Michaels' neck in a chair and step on it, and watch Shawn Michaels like cough up blood, and the bra and panties match propelling me into puberty. And seeing shit like that, like dude, oh my god, the SmackDown versus Raw
Yeah.
video games, like these were creations of Vince McMahon, And I think it's a shame that he didn't retire earlier and let Triple H take over. Now, Triple H had his own career to extend out and finish, which I think he did in a great way. But I'm hoping now that Vince McMahon's out and Triple H is taking over, maybe they can go back to like the TV 14 era, and maybe even make some of those pay per views more like R rated or TVM or
Yeah.
whatever it is, because I would love to see that. But who knows what we're
Yeah.
gonna see.
So for me, it's funny that you brought up like your timeline with pro wrestling, because I grew up with it in the '90s, where I was watching like Mankind, The Undertaker, Steve Austin.
Right.
Like I remember seeing my first WrestleMania. I was 5 years. That might have been 4 or 5 years. That might have been four. Where Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, his first heavyweight title, and then I kept watching through when Stone Cold came in, and uh, then when The Rock. I remember when The Rock was a fucking nobody. He was like Rocky Maivia, and then he became the leader of the nation. And so like my timeline with wrestling is a little bit different, but I fell off probably a little bit after Benoit killed his family. That was kind of when I was. That was
Yeah,
when I was out, not because of what he did specifically, but that's around the same time I just went out of it. Because
that sounds about right for me
yeah, because
too.
I stopped watching really. Even when the Rock came back to Wrestle Scene, I never watched because I felt like every time I checked back in, Brock Lesnar was the fucking this was always being fed titles, and like he was this big attraction. Like I was tired of watching this shit. Like and then he had that squash match with Cena where he suplexed Cena like 87 times, and like it was just bad to watch. Then they had me back where I remember like maybe 2013, 2014, they did the Cruiserweight Classic, and I was a big WCW guy because with my great grandfather, he was so into in Spanish culture, it's called lucha libre. So that's like where you have the luchadors and they're wearing the masks and stuff like that. So he pointed me out like some of these luchadors that would come over from Mexico and the Caribbean and would wrestle in WCW. And like so that's how I saw like Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrera, Eddie Guerrero, like these guys would come over and were studs. And then my older cousin, which ironically his name is Pedro, he watched a lot of New Japan, so he would point out to me like Jushin Thunder Liger and Ultimo Dragon, and so like WCW had all these guys. So I was more of a WCW guy for a while there. So and specifically it was because of the cruiserweights. And then when the like Triple H brought back the cruiserweights, I'm like, oh shit, we're back. And then that became a turd. So and then I think the last wrestling match I really watched that I was actually impressed with was I watched Kenny Omega and Daniel Bryan on AEW, and that was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good tilt, if you will. But then I was back out.
Yeah, yeah. I check in once in a while when I hear something crazy
Yeah,
happens, because it's just like that's rooted in my childhood. But it's funny because you're only a couple of years
yeah.
older than me, and I the only reason I started watching professional wrestling was because my parents got
Oh,
divorced. Because when my parents were together, I was never allowed to watch it because they thought it was too violent or
yeah.
whatever. And my mom was super Christian, but once they got divorced, I got my own room, my own TV, and I just started watching it one night. And I'm like, this is awesome. And then I got really into the video games. And
Yeah. So
the rest is history.
so we come from an era like I'm more of an attitude era kid, but and ruthless aggression era. I can't sit there and be like, no, I didn't watch any of that. But I remember one year of wrestling specifically where Edge and Lita had sex in the ring, and that
Yes,
that was like the pinnacle. I'm like, okay, this is fucking a little nuts. And
yes.
I feel like it's been,
The rated R
yeah, I
superstar.
just felt like it's been downhill since. Where you'll never see that again.
Nah. Linda McMahon was like trying to run for a politician chair or whatever, and you couldn't have that. You couldn't have that.
I love the WWE because like it's the company that a future president of the United States took a Stone Cold Stunner at WrestleMania.
Oh my god, I forgot Trump was on WWE.
Like that is the greatest
Wow.
fucking thing in the world. That a
Yeah,
future
and
president of the
remember,
United States was in a hair versus hair match with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, and Vince McMahon had that very open feud with what was her name?
Um,
The girl from The View.
oh, I forget her fucking name. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though.
Oh, yeah, and he was like calling her out on air and whatnot, and was like, "You come on, get in this ring, and I'll put you down," and whatnot.
Yeah, the
Oh my god!
WWE has given us some fucking hilarious pop culture things. So
My favorite McMahon moment is probably when The Rock and or not The Rock, Cena and Batista botched the
yeah,
Royal
and he
Rumble
fucking was out there flipping the
finale,
fuck out. He tore both his
and he
quads
ran
getting
in.
into the ring.
Yeah, he was so angry when he was walking out that he tore both his quads and had to sit down inside the ring and scream at them.
And Vince
And he looked like a child.
and Vince is sitting there no selling it. Like he's sitting there like
Yeah,
not even in pain. He's sitting there just like fucking flipping out, completely no selling. And I think it's fucking glorious. So
yeah, because they it was a botch. They were I think Cena was
yeah.
supposed to win or Batista was supposed to win. Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah. Or do you remember when, like, not that I want to, harp on the Benoit stuff, but like that storyline with around the same time Benoit, like Vince's on-screen character died. He like he got into the limo
Oh yeah, his limo
and he blew
blew
the
up.
fuck up, and like he was supposed to be dead,
Yeah,
and then the Benoit stuff happens, and then oh shit, Vince is back. Um,
and Hornswoggle was like his
yeah.
bastard
Or
son.
my favorite. Remember when Vince McMahon he had a pay-per-view match versus God?
No,
Yeah,
I don't remember
yeah,
that.
he had a match. He had a match against God, and
Oh
he
my
pinned
god.
God. It was like the greatest fucking thing. So, shout out to Vince McMahon. Happy trails in retirement. I'm sure you'll be running the WWE somehow from the shadows. Stop maybe,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
sexually harassing slash assaulting women. Like maybe not do that. But on the side note, when we allow these old guys to go unchecked for years, like I don't know why it is that we're shocked when these allegations come out. Because if you watch the Dark Side of the Ring, I encourage you to watch it. It's on Hulu. It's these Vice.
I've
Yeah.
seen it. It's
So
really
they did
good.
the one about the plane ride from hell, and they talk about Ric Flair, and Ric Flair got a lot of shit for this. Like I guess at one point Ric Flair was naked on the plane, showing everyone his penis, like all the fucking flight attendants, and he tried to get the one to touch his penis, and like she, that you shouldn't do that, Rick. Like you know that now, but
Yeah.
like,
Come on.
are we? Is anyone stunned that Ric Flair would do this? Like he's the jet flying, limousine riding, wheeling, sealing son of a gun. Everyone wants to ride Space Mountain, all that shit. Like
It wasn't a character.
like that's who he was. Like that is Ric Flair, and he was like that for years. Like
Yeah.
he famously talked about how much of a womanizer he was, and like so there's even like this. There's a fucking recent photo of Ric Flair on like a fucking plane eating some girl, doing some things he shouldn't be doing. But like like, so does it shock anyone that like Ric Flair back in the day when he wasn't like old and flabby and woof, like is just flopping his dick around and expecting women to just throw themselves at him because like that's the
Dude,
area he
like
comes from.
I'm I'm amazed that people were shocked that there was allegations coming out about Vince McMahon. The dude would
Yeah,
hire
yeah,
supermodels to pro wrestle in their bra and panties, right? And then he would make them his on-screen
as their
girlfriend, so
valets.
he could
Yeah,
like make
yeah,
out with them in the back and whatnot. And there's like he would like make out with Trish
yeah,
Stratus in the locker rooms and whatnot. And you guys are like seriously amazed that there were sexual
yeah.
harassment allegations?
Dude,
No, this has been going on
dude,
forever. Like,
it blows my mind. So the last thing I'll say about some of these guys from these older eras, because I was watching some baseball recently, just flipping through the channels, and the Phillies were on. I'm not a Philly fan, but I saw that Pete Rose was talking, and I guess it came out that he I guess had sex with an underage girl or something along those lines, like back in like the 70s. No, no, no,
whoa,
like it gets better. You know what his response was?
what?
It was 55 years ago, babe. Yeah,
What?
and then he goes on to say like, how many baseballs do I need to sign for you guys to forgive me?
Well, how old is he? He's
He's in his
probably
70s, yeah,
80.
70s or 80s, yeah,
Yeah, 70. So he's like I'm gonna be dead soon. I don't give a
yeah,
shit.
like,
Like,
and again, it's from this era where, like, not that I'm condoning it. I am by no stretch of the imagination condoning anything that he did, but like, I'm not shocked that like Pete Rose, Ric Flair, Vince McMahon, and some of these other guys that were like legends, from the '70s, late '70s, '80s, like from those eras where like men, it was just acceptable for men to be fucking pigs, and it doesn't shock me that this shit comes out. Like, I'm shocked more shit hasn't come out about like stuff that went down in some of these industries. It's just wild to think that like we're stunned. It sucks. It happens for sure, but like it's just not shocking. So that
No, it's not shocking
yeah.
at
So
all.
it's just a little side note about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Again,
It's,
happy trails in retirement. Please stop sexually assaulting people. That'd be ideal. So getting into the meat and potatoes, and I know, holy shit, we're over an hour. Look at us. Getting into the meat and
yeah.
potatoes of the show, I want to bring some light on something that's been fucking grinding my gears. So, we talk a fair amount about the retro game community on this show, just because I feel like it's, like I said earlier, it's where we come from. It's where we cut our teeth. It's still near and dear to us. We will always talk retro games on this show because they will always have a place here.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
we have lamented that we've been getting, I feel like, exploited as retro gamers and gamers in general, but specifically the retro gamers. I feel like this industry is, or no, I wouldn't say industry, this hobby is very exploited, very just predatory in some of the stuff we do. And I think it's fucked up. I really do. Because I I'm in the market for a new CRT. And the reason I am is because these TVs famously are old. They're old box TVs. They're heavy, but like they ain't growing on trees anymore. They ain't no companies making CRT TVs for the retro gamers, which I think is ironic that no one's done that yet, considering we get exploited for fucking everything else.
Oh, it's on its way. Just you
Yeah.
wait. It's on its way.
So what I noticed, so I type in, I go on Facebook, give it the old Facebook look, and I type in CRT TV in electronics, and to my fucking chagrin, to my shock, to my dismay, to my, would you say, disgust, do you know how much people are charging for some of these fucking TVs?
I don't even want to know. I bet it's
So
disgusting.
it's up and down. So if you want a Sony Trinitron, which the Trinitron is considered top tier retro gaming, it's considered the top tier. Now, mind you,
Why?
because I guess the TV set is really good for retro games. It's considered top of the line because you get that flat screen look to it. You can still use the light guns, and it just they you don't have to really maintain them. But every gamer wants them. So usually you can find a CRT TV for maybe $5 to $10. That's what used to be what going rate was. Sometimes even free. So right now in Berwick, Pennsylvania, a Sony Trinitron TV, retro TV, CRT, $60.
$60? What's the size of it?
I think it's a 27-inch.
27-inch.
Yeah,
Tiny.
yeah. So here's another one. This isn't even a Sony TV. So this is a Panasonic CRT TV for sale in Williamsport. Guess the price.
Panasonic.
I'll give you a hint. It's cheaper than the Trinitron.
Oh, 46.
You're right on the money. $40.
God, I'm close.
Yeah.
That's just. Well, I mean, I don't know. $40 seems not that unreasonable.
For a CRT that this guy clearly doesn't want.
Well,
like this is sitting. This guy is like, if nobody buys this TV, this guy is sitting on it. Here's another guy in Sunbury, $75 for a Sharp CRT. Like, this is the shit that is driving me insane. It drives me absolutely up a fucking wall because the CRT TV I have in my basement right now. I didn't pay any money for it. I got that one for free. But the other CRT I got was a Samsung, and I paid $20 for it. But the only reason I paid that much was it came with a nice TV stand with it. So I'm like, if I'm getting the stand and the TV, $20, you got yourself a deal, good sir. But like, don't sit there and charge me well over $100 for a fucking TV that you know you don't want. It's sitting there. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it?
So like this grinds my gears too though because there's really good CRT emulation.
Yeah, but
So like
I understand why the retro gamer wants the CRT. It's the authenticity of the experience.
I get that. I guess I get it.
If you have the room
Go
for it.
to any high school. Go to any high school in America, and they probably have 40 of them sitting
Yeah,
around somewhere.
and well, and it's worse with PVMs, like the professional monitors. Like, granted, you can't get them free. I understand that. You used to be able to get them pretty free until somehow everyone caught wind of, oh shit, people actually want this shit. So now PVMs go for well over $200.
Oh my god,
So
it's
when
crazy.
you hear these happening, Seth, what are your thoughts, sir?
Um, we are within 2 years of them making CRT TVs for the retro market.
And that's gonna be nuts.
A new generation of CRTs, 100%. It's gonna happen.
And
And I wouldn't be surprised to see if one of these retro consoles was bundled with one of these CRTs.
ooh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, but
Yes, I can see it
dude,
happening.
it drives me up a wall because like you you want to enjoy a hobby that for some reason shouldn't be expensive. Like you're intrinsically seeking old things that really don't necessarily have value. Like I understand certain games had low print runs and stuff like that. And like I can get with all that. We'll take the L on certain things. But like if I want to seek out a old fucking TV that nobody wanted and you know you don't want, it's sitting in your garage, asshole, but you did an eBay search and you watched American Pickers and now we think everything we own is worth hundreds of dollars. And I blame the retro gaming community for this as well because like every fucking YouTuber's like, oh, you gotta get a Trinitron, you gotta get the Trinitron. Oh, like you know who you fucking are, you know who you are, like, and so I think it's part of the problem too, where like it's simple economic supply and demand, limited supply, high demand. You can charge more, but like it shouldn't be where we're paying out like never in a million years am I paying $100 to go fucking lug a big ass TV from the fucking late '90s so I can have it like for my retro games. Like never in a million years. Either the max I will pay for a CRT TV maybe $25, maybe, and that's max.
It's so crazy because I definitely had one of these Sony Trinitrons. I'm looking it
Yeah,
up right now. I had the gray one.
and they're great TVs. They are great. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like having a CRT for some retro games is fucking sweet. Like it's a sweet setup. If you have the room, and B if you don't mind like having all your consoles hooked up to this fucking old thing, it's because it's kind of a pain in the ass. But if you got the setup, it's pretty fucking sweet. Like it's a sweet setup. You can play some old RPGs. They look great. Because if you put them on the big flat screen, they look like trash. Like you don't want to do that. So I support the retro gamer. I do, but like don't stop getting exploited, people. Stop getting exploited.
See, this Trinitron is selling for $230 on
That's
eBay.
disgusting, isn't it?
Like,
Like, how are you
yeah,
shipping that? How much is the fucking shipping on that?
300. So this one is selling for $357 with $160 shipping.
That's fucking nuts. Who is paying this?
This is insane, dude.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
where like a simple Craigslist search and a Facebook Marketplace search, you could probably get a TV that's just as good as a Trinitron because Sanyo makes decent brands. I think Sylvania makes decent brands. Avoid Samsungs; they suck. Uh, but Panasonic, Sharp, like you can do well and get a decent CRT. Doesn't have to be a Trinitron, but if you can find a Trinitron, you always go Trinitron. But like that's usually the course of action. But like again, you're getting exploited. Stop. Like listen to my boy here. He is literally reading off people selling Sony Trinitron TVs on eBay for upwards of $300. Who is paying this? I want to know. I want to meet you. Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Seth wants to see you in the ring. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Let's have a little chat.
Here's a 40-inch Trinitron for
That's fucking
$350.
nuts, man.
It's local pickup only.
Yeah,
They're
local
not
pickup
shipping.
only. Yeah, fuck you, dude. So like that's my message of the day. Like, stop exploiting the retro gamer. Stop. And the retro gamers, stop falling for this. Get off the Reddit CRT. Stop fucking falling into this. Stop watching the goddamn YouTubers with their retro game rooms that they just do for their shows, and they have two Trinitrons that they probably got for free somehow. Like, stop. Just stop. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It disgusts me. It genuinely disgusts me. So now that we're on the topic of the retro gaming, I have some news. Breaking news.
Okay.
So I did a little sleuthing, and I like to bring awareness to certain things that happen within certain retro gaming communities. Lately, my focus as a Sega kid is always going to be usually on Sega consoles. But if something comes out for an older system that isn't a Sega console, I will definitely announce it if I catch wind of it. So it's got to be on my radar, though. So for the Saturn right now, there are some English translation hacks that have recently come out. So going through the list here, Bastard Baroque English translation is currently on Saturn. So that game is a first-person dungeon crawl type like RPG adventure game. Yeah,
Hmm.
probably not my style, but again, something coming to the Saturn. Definitely check it out. If any of you listening want to check out gameplay for some of these games that I'm talking about, check out Sega Shiro. It's on YouTube. It's one of my favorite YouTube channels, and they talk specifically Saturn stuff, Sega stuff. So if you're into that space, if you're into that type of nostalgia, especially the Saturn, because it's getting a lot of love right now, definitely check them out for gameplay on some of these games I announced. Uh, so in a previous episode, I said Tactics Ogre was coming to Saturn. I misspoke. I meant Ogre Battle. I meant Ogre Battle.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
Okay.
getting a Saturn translation, which I think is pretty freaking cool. Um, and then lastly here, I have East Book One is getting a translation for the Saturn from the Falcom Classics disc, which is Falcom famously supported the Saturn with like the original Legend of Heroes trilogy, and then East games, and they put out two compilations called Falcom Classics 1 and 2 that had East books 1, 2, and all the Legend of Hero games, and I think a Xanadu game I think was on there. So fans translated the first East book for the Saturn, which I think is going to be. I'm going to play that. I think that's going to be a fun little romp because I know you're not a huge East guy, are you?
I've tried to. I still have to jump into Ease 9. I liked Ease 8 enough, but I expected to have more of a story, and I didn't realize the East
No, they don't
games
have
weren't
stories.
like
Yeah.
plot driven.
So for me, my
No.
history with East is I beat East 1 and 2 on the Turbo graphics, not specifically the console, but like I beat the Turbo version on Wii Virtual Console. So I beat those, and I
Hmm.
beat East 3 Wanderers from East. I beat that on my Super Nintendo, and then I beat uh, East Memories of Celceta, and then that I haven't beaten 8 or I haven't touched 9. So my favorite East games are definitely books 1 and 2. Like I really, really, really enjoy those. So anytime you can go backwards into a series and see how it's how it got its roots, how it how it's evolved, how its certain hallmarks are um how they're set up, I think it's really interesting. And I have a hot take for you. Maybe it's not that hot of a take, but to me it's hot. East Book 1 and 2 to me are better than the Legend of Zelda on Super Nintendo. They came out in that same era, and I think East Books 1 and 2 objectively better games.
I have not played East 1 and 2, so I cannot tell you if that's a hot take or
I
not.
don't know if
I do not know.
you'd like East Book 1 or 2. I don't know if that's a Seth joint because it's obviously retro, but it's where you instead of like hitting a button to attack enemies, you got to run into them.
Ooh, yeah, don't like that.
So and you gotta sometimes you gotta run into them at an angle to do more damage. So like I don't know if that's a Seth joint, but
That doesn't sound like a Seth joint.
So when you
I
hear me
agree.
talk about some of these games coming to old systems, thoughts, sir, opinions.
Um, I like it.
Yeah,
It's good. It's good to see him live
yeah,
again. That's all I gotta say.
yeah. And so for me, like I'm big on this because like usually I'll give it a couple months when like a translation comes out, and then like I'll check Etsy and see if a guy's running a store and I can get a physical copy of some of this stuff so I can have it in the collection. So right now I have
Yeah.
Grandia for my Saturn. I have Lunar, Dragon Force, Soccer Wars. I'm trying to think what else. Shining Force 3, the complete scenario. So I've got a couple of these. I've amassed a collection of a couple of these. So I'm probably gonna get Ogre Battle whenever I can, and whenever I can get my hands on these translations, get them in a nice little custom made package, put them on a shelf. I enjoy that. It's
Well, that'd be
oh yeah,
nice. Yeah, I'm all for that.
yeah. So that's just some of the news on the retro front. So in the more modern front, and this is kind of be our final topic where we, start to wind things down, start to put this puppy to bed a little bit. It's been a good show. Um,
I'm gonna get Rachel.
Soul Hackers 2 comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox, PC. No Switch version.
Thank
And
God.
but I think that's weird as fuck because like the first game was on 3DS, which is ironically
Right.
a remake of the Saturn version, but it's on 3DS and exclusive to 3DS. So do you think there might be a changing of the guard with Atlas and Nintendo here?
I think Atlas might just see the inevitable truth, which is that it's time for the Switch to die.
Mm, maybe.
Put her to bed. I'm over it.
I think it's really weird because like again like a lot of the game anyone who would have played the first one who would want the second one played it on 3DS. Like so I don't get like why they wouldn't put a port on Switch. Like it just doesn't make sense because if you look at it, Nocturne is on Switch, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Switch, Tokyo Mirage Session Switch. I'm pretty sure the
Right.
Persona games are coming to Switch, right?
I think
Yeah,
so.
so
I think they were announced for Switch.
like anything SMT and now like this is like the first time Persona's coming to Switch, but anything Shin Megami Tensei, especially the main line, like has been on Switch and it's been exclusives. Like if you look at the 3DS, you had Shin Megami Tensei 4, you had Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, you had obviously Soul Hackers, you had Persona Q, and I feel like I'm missing a game, but even in that those games I just named, like those were all exclusive to Nintendo. It was like the mainline SMT franchise was married to Nintendo. So the fact that to hear that Soul Hackers 2 isn't definitely a red flag to me.
It,
Big red flag.
is Soul Hackers 2 more mature than the other ones?
I guess, but I don't think it'd be more mature than SMT 5.
Hmm. I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I don't know.
It just seems like a glaring omission. So, like, remember I'd said earlier in the show that maybe because of the experience with Shin Megami Tensei 5, and I felt like the Switch definitely hinders that game. Um, maybe it's Atlas having a sore taste in its mouth, but I don't know because those games probably were in development around the same time. You would think so. Like definitely weird because I felt like up until right there, Atlas and Nintendo have this like really symbiotic relationship where like I don't know.
Well, which consoles did you say it was coming out for?
PS5. Well, let me pull it up so I'm not talking out of my ass. But I'm pretty sure it's PS5, Xbox, Switch, not Switch, PC, and yeah, that's it. Soul Hackers 2. Let's see. So it's coming out PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Series S, and Windows.
I have no idea.
Like I don't get it.
Maybe they just wanted to up the graphical fidelity, like you said, and then it would be hindered by the Switch. That's the only I can think of that makes sense. Because even the games that are really beautiful, like you brought up Xenoblade 2 earlier in the podcast, Xenoblade 2 runs at a pretty solid or lower 30 frames per second. Sometimes that game does chug. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I just that's definitely a weird one to me. But now that we're on the topic of Atlas, you had said that Persona 5, coming
Yes.
to all major platforms basically, uh, has new content in it that we didn't previously
This
have.
I thought this was just going to be a port of Persona 5 Royal, like we got on the PS5 a couple years ago. It turns out it's not a port. This is actually like a remastered version, better gameplay. It looks like the anime cutscenes. They added a couple cutscenes from the anime adaptation. I'm not positive, but I don't remember the cutscenes shown in the trailer in the game. So there's that. Um, and I just, to me, this is a sin
Yeah,
because you can't have Persona 5 come out, right? And it's a great game. And then have Persona 5 Royal come out, which is the same game with a little bit of added extra content and doesn't transfer your saves over. And then we're going to take Persona 5 Royal a couple years later and remaster it again. And it's like, what are we doing here with Persona 5? Like, why didn't we just do the remastered version with Royal, you know?
yeah,
Or why didn't we just do it right from the beginning? I mean, it's not like Persona 5 is like this technological masterpiece. It's like an anime game. So I'm not really sure what the deal was with Persona 5 where like they felt like they needed to remake this game twice, but I find that quite annoying. Because I know both me and you had the same reaction to Persona 5 Royal where like we had this repulsion. We had just beaten Persona
mhm,
5. We put 100 hours
yeah,
into it, right? And it's like, okay, I did this. I'm good now until Persona 6
yeah,
comes out, or I feel the urge to come back. But like, we both bought Persona 5 Royal. I think you got a little further than
yeah.
I did, but I was immediately like,
I got
no,
past
I'm
the
not doing
Futaba
this.
dungeon, then I was kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, like I'm good on this. Um,
And it's
but I've gotten the urge to play it because I've
yeah,
been talking to Caitlin about it, and I love the Persona 5
yeah, it's
soundtrack.
great.
I listen to Persona 5 soundtrack all the fucking time, and I've been talking to Caitlin about it, and I've really been getting into the Persona like conversation with her, and she's like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. So I was like, all right, well maybe me and you can give it a shot
Yeah, she
together.
would like Persona.
And then I'm like, oh man, this is a remaster because I was just gonna play on my PS4
Yeah,
copy of Royal, But now it's like, well, no, I got to play like the
yeah, right. You
remastered
got to play
version
the
of
best
it because
version.
it wouldn't make any sense
Yeah,
otherwise.
so it's weird
So
because the burnout on Persona 5 for me is it's not that it's a bad game, like you said, like we love the game. But there's just like a certain level of like burnout from it that once you go back to anything Persona 5 related, like you get this weird feeling because I remember when I told you I tried Strikers. And it's
yes,
granted it's a Musou game, but I feel like with those Musou games that lately they've been okay. Like they haven't been horrible,
yes,
but like you get into the Persona 5 Strikers and you got the aesthetic and you're at Cafe LeBlanc and it's even replicates the game to the fact where you try to leave the upstairs room and like Morgana tells you, "Hey, shouldn't you just go to sleep?" Like it even does that, which I thought was kind of funny. But I got to a point where, the music starts playing and I'm just like and like that's when like you're done. Like like that you have that deep sigh. You're like, like so.
you might as well just wrap it up then.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I feel like the story on Strikers is probably good. Like I thought, usually anytime there's a Persona spin-off, like the stories are pretty good. Like I remember playing the Arena Ultimax games and really really enjoying those. Like
Hmm.
so, like they're usually well written. Even Persona Q had a pretty good story to it. So again, like they're pretty fun games, but I don't know. Like if you're gonna add more content and people who like say if you just played the Royal, like you're like, are you really gonna go through and play that again just for a couple scenes? I don't think so. I'm sure some people will. But to me, like YouTube it, people like or look it up if it's that important to you. But I don't think I don't know if they could add any more to that story to alter it because like with this new character from Royal, I forget her name that they added. I think that she doesn't she have a significant part in the end game. Like something significant happens with her, or is it insignificant? I can't remember because I didn't get that far.
I think it is. I think it is significant, but the biggest problem I had with her was that she's not canon in Strikers because even though Strikers came out, I
A
think around the same time as
little bit,
or
yeah, a little bit after
after,
they were developed at the same time. So there's,
they didn't add her in,
yeah,
and it's like, what are we doing?
yeah, that's stupid.
Are we really this like disjointed? What is this?
Yeah, because I don't
Uh,
know, like, and I hate that Atlas does do this, but like they've done it so many times that we can't get mad. Because like if you look at Persona 3, so if you play Persona 3 Vanilla, then Persona Fez came out, right, and then they made Persona 3 Portable.
mm-hmm.
So there's three different versions of that game, and then Persona 4 comes out, then Persona 4 Golden, like so, which is a really great game, by the way. And now Persona 5, and then Persona 5 Royal, like, so it's not shocking that they do this. I just wish that if you're gonna give us the fucking follow up game, just give us that game the fucking first time, Atlas. Can we do that?
Yes. Also, I think it's really insanely annoying that they're giving us Persona 3 Portable, which is easily the worst version of that
I
game.
don't understand why not getting
Um,
the FES version or FES version. Like I don't.
I don't know because like you don't even control the character in the world map in the portable
You
version.
know what's weird? I'm really
What?
worried about the reception for the Persona 3.
Why?
Okay, so do you think that game's gonna be received well?
I
So let's
I don't know because I think that the portable version is like really annoying because you don't control the. It's not like any other Persona
right.
game where you like walk around town and
Yeah,
stuff. You
it's
don't.
old
You
school. You
just
control the
it's a
fucking
point
little
and
dot
click.
guy. Yeah. Um.
Yeah,
So
but the actual Persona 3 game is not like that. It's almost exactly like Persona
right,
4. So I
but
don't
like, so what do you think is gonna happen when people get to Tartarus, buddy?
I don't know. I mean
Tartarus
the
is gonna
same
break
because
people.
like the same thing. I mean it's the same system as Persona 5. Whereas like Persona 5, you have to complete that deep dungeon thing or whatever it
Yeah, but
is.
they don't tell. But
It-
in Persona 5, they kind of progressions kind of insisted on, hey, you need to progress. So, but with Tartarus, you could ignore Tartarus for a while. Like you could just not do it.
yeah.
The game tells you, hey, you should probably
Yes.
explore this, and then the game puts a hard line in the sand, like, hey, fuckface, we told you to fucking explore Tartarus. Here's 257
Yes.
straight floors, asshole. Here you go.
Yes.
And I remember that
Um,
that grind almost broke me.
I remember warning you about that. I'm like, yo, while you're going through this game, make sure you're spending a little extra time going through Tartarus. And you ended up making the same mistake I did at the end, where you have to
Yeah,
grind like a shitload of the
it's because
end game
Tartarus
through Tartarus.
sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. It does suck. I hated those like AI generated
Yeah,
dungeons in Persona 3 and
yeah.
4.
At least in 4, they were at least like themed, but so they weren't the same over and over again. But in 3, Tartarus is so fucking bad.
Yeah,
And
I
then like
agree.
when they make the Fez version, hey, you want to go to Tartarus again, but way harder? How about have fun with that? Get in here.
Yes.
So I don't know. Atlas, not that it's a huge deal, not that it's a deal breaker. Like Atlas overall, you can expect quality from Atlas games, but I don't want to call them missteps. I don't want to call them missteps because I don't really think that's what it is. But I'm gonna say, got my fucking eye on you. Right now, we got a set of eyes on Atlas because I'm little looking over there, like doing some weird things. Uh, and I'm not gonna say concerned. I'm not gonna say concerned. I'm gonna say I am I am mildly interested as to what's going on here.
How do you feel about all these Persona 6 teasers?
I don't think we're ready for another Persona game.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
But
we're not ready.
they keep teasing. They
Uh,
keep teasing. They keep talking about
See,
it.
and I feel like if we come out with a Persona 6, misstep because like that you're giving us too much here. Like
Yes.
so, and if you oversaturate that brand, like that's not good because I feel like I don't know. I feel like Persona eventually is going to kill mainline SMT because like I feel like Mega 10 games just don't sell well anymore, or I don't know if they ever did personally, um, but people are going to start expecting like Persona to be like I don't know how to like I guess it is their main brand now. Like I don't think it's any. I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to say like Persona is more popular than SMT. Like I don't think that's a hot take by any
Oh,
stretch of the
absolutely.
imagination. But like Atlas has always maintained that SMT is the main line. That's their heritage. That's the bread and butter. And I just feel like those games are slowly gonna get killed off. Because if you look at gameplay for Soul Hackers, I sniff Persona vibes in there. Just a little, like a little, just a little hint of just Persona stench on there. And like
Yeah.
what people got to realize, like you've said it before on previous shows, mainline SMT is gonna kick you in the fucking teeth. Like this is a
Oh yeah.
Persona. So
Yes.
people are gonna be in for some rude fucking awakenings. Like whoa, whoa, Nelly.
That's why I was worried. That's why I was worried. SMT5 was just going to be like a watered down version of Persona or
Yeah, no,
SMT.
it isn't. It's a thing. I don't. It's
It's
yeah, it's
something.
something. I'll have to play it eventually and get an actual opinion on it. But first opinions, I'm like, ugh. So yeah. Anyway, moving right along. Seth, did you have anything else you wanted to get off your chest, sir? Anything of note you wanted to discuss before we wrap this bad boy up?
um, no, not this week. I think we've covered pretty much all the bases. I think we had a good show,
Yeah,
a nice tight show.
I would say this has been getting fun, buddy. Uh,
Yeah.
so we started Instagram, so give us a follow at Alpha Nerds Prime over on Instagram. So it's Alpha underscore Nerds underscore Prime. Because of course, when I go to start Alpha Nerds on Instagram, some asshole has the fucking like of all the things to come up with, like that's the name we came up with, and of course other people have it too. So like maybe either everyone thought that's a great name, or we're just not very creative people. It's one of the two. But
We had it
yeah,
years
we did have
ago.
it years ago.
If we if
And
we
did
would have
nothing with it.
if we would have buckled down years
Yeah.
ago, we would have been fine.
Give us a follow. I keep saying follow. Give us a subscription, free one, of course, on YouTube. Check out the channel. We definitely would love some comments. And if you have any comments for the Instagram, definitely leave us a comment there. I'd love to start reading comments on air and having some interaction, start building an audience, building a community. Because I eventually want us to foster not a giant community by any means, but definitely have our own legion, our own people who see things our way and maybe agree with us or disagree. Just I want to have some discourse within the community because I love discussion. I love debating things or just being turned on to new things. So definitely interact with us. We enjoy doing this show. It's been a breath of fresh air for me personally because I listen to a lot of podcasts, so why not do one of my own?
Right.
Create content I want to listen to.
And hopefully, if God is good, our community doesn't argue in the comments; they just fight.
Yeah, meet each other in the ring. That's what we want. Meet each other in the ring. Videotape it. Do not yell "World Star." Don't do that. But videotape us or not us, but videotape yourselves. Instead of talking things out, rip your shirts off, Yakuza style, and settle it with your fists.
That's right.
So that is our show.
Square up and throw down.
Square up, throw down, Alpha Nerds. Good night.
That's right.